Hello, in this video I will cover 4 pictures, and the objective is to remove color cast, to practice again mask selection and using the selection tools and curves and color balance, when to use it, when not to use it, or a preference. Sometimes it's just a preference, but sometimes it's more efficient. So we're just going to cover that. If you're in my class, pause here, go to the module, and download the 4 images posted in the module called extra exercise or practice exercise, something like that. If you're not in my class and you want to follow along, leave a comment below, and I will post the images on the post in the community section. Okay, so pause here, download your images if you haven't already done so. And if you have, we'll continue and follow along. Okay, so let's open the first image here. This is a hydrangea. Obviously, this is someone's personal taste, but our objective is to get neutral colors. So if there's an image like this, how do we edit it and make it neutral, or what we call this is true color? So the objective is to look for true color. So really, we're turning this image into something like this, which is what you probably see. Okay, so let's delete that layer for now, and just follow along. Okay, so the first thing is, when we're analyzing image, it's what are the color issues. If you recall my other video, if you didn't see the other video, go and check it out, where you can tell the color balance by the white areas. But in a photo like this, there is no white area, so what do? So the next thing is you look for the dark areas. So right here in the shadows, I noticed that there's a bit of magenta, and let's confirm if that's true. So we can easily bring up hue and saturation just to confirm what color, what's the color issue here. Okay, so here I just click. So in the dark area, there should be no color but black. Okay, so if there's a tint there, which is saying there's a tint of magenta, which you can actually tell, right? It's a slight magenta here. Okay, so that's just to double check if it is a color issue. So because I know this is almost true, the color, the blue, the dark areas has a different color cast, and the midtone looks like has a different color cast. So the easiest way for in this example is to use color balance rather than a photo filter. If there's a color issue in the overall image, that's where it would be more efficient to use a photo filter, but I'm just going to use color cast or color balance here. Okay, so first let's address the black area. So we're going to go to shadows. So let's do that again. So I'm going to go down here to the adjustment, select color balance. Okay, and I am going to adjust these shadows. Okay, so it is magenta, if you recall earlier. Then I'm going to cancel the magenta by adding green. Okay, so I'm just looking at the shadows to make sure. So if you go too much, right, then that is there's a green issue there. So let's find a nice balance. I think this is where there is like plus 13 around there. It's where I don't quite see the magenta anymore. Actually, I still see it in the dark. So let's do plus 14. Okay, plus 14 is starting to be green. Let's go back to 13. Okay, so I addressed the shadow. So if you know, I like to separate everything. Okay, although you can do it all in one layer, I like to separate it so I can adjust the layers. Okay, so next I'm going to create another color balance. So now I'm going to address the midtones. So you can actually do it all in a layer if you want, but for my class, I like everyone to do it in a separate layer. That way it's easier to go back. So midtones are somewhere around here. To me, they're slightly red. So let's bring it cyan over. Okay, that's more like it. So plus 20, negative 25. Now that's a little bit too cyan because it started affecting the shadows area. So let's do, okay, let's do 5. I think I like flat 5. Okay. And let's see if I can bring, there you go. So the midtones is going to be negative 5 to get rid of the red, and then plus maybe 10. Okay, plus 5 here. That looks nice. So there's still a little bit here that I'm going to dress a little layer. We can fine tune that layer. So midtones is red, negative 5. So removing the reds and adding 5 to the greens. Okay. So I'm going to click on that. CB, negative 5, red, and plus 5 green. So I know that's midtones. Okay, so actually let's put midtones there. And this was the shadow. So if we name the layers properly, we can easily go back. Okay, so next we're going to do another one for the highlights. So I think the highlights pretty good, but let's try to see. If I can add a yellow. Yeah. So I'm going to remove the blue by adding a yellow. Okay, so that is a highlight. Removing the slider towards the yellow, so it's negative 10. So we're actually right here, we're going to CB highlight negative 10 to remove the blue. Okay. So there you go. So all that should be placed in a folder called Global. Okay, so it's still a little dull to me, so I'm going to add a curves. So go to adjustment, get curves. And if you notice the curves, there's nothing here. So I'm going to pull in the blacks and pull in the highlights. So the side is the highlights. So I'm going to, there it was originally here. I'm going to pull it in because that's empty color, and then pull that in. So I'm going to make the range a little tighter, therefore it's a little bit more contrasting. Okay, so curve overall. Okay, there you go. So that's fixed the color. So that was the original color with a lot of issues, but understanding that's someone's preference. But to modify and change it back to the original color, we did this. Okay, so practice this on your own, in your own time. Next, we're gonna go and look at this one here, the rose. So open the, if you have time, open the rose. We're gonna, this is just slight modification, but we're turning again this for this. I think this is a popular filter that people like, but our objective is to get neutral color and how to look for color cast or color issues in a photo. Okay, so let's bring this image up, and then we're gonna work on that image again. Okay, first thing, maybe let's first thing is look at the overall curves. Okay, there's some empty layers here, so I'm gonna bring that in like we did with the other one. We're gonna bring that in so the contrast is tighter. bring that in a little bit more where there's more information here. Okay, so that's the curves. So I'm gonna name it C or curve overall, whatever you feel that you'll remember what you did. So next thing is let's look at the black area. I feel the black area is slightly magenta. So let's double check if it is slightly red. So okay, so we know it's slightly red. So there's a few things you can do. First, you can continue using hue saturation. Go to the red and desaturate the red. Okay, so that'll be one option. It is probably the easiest option. Okay. So we look at the before and after. Okay. So let's look at the highlights. Slightly green, I think, here, or cyan. So I'm going to get a color balance and go to highlights, and there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna name that CB highlights and red plus red highlights plus 18 red. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And then the hue saturation, let's recall what we did. I think we removed the red. Yeah, we removed the red 100%. So let's write that here, hue and saturation 100%. So negative 100 red. Okay, and that works only because there's no red in the photos. So if there's red in the photo, I wouldn't have removed all the red. Otherwise, everything with red would be just desaturated. Okay, so I only did that because I don't see any red in the photo besides the color cast. Okay, so that's all I'm doing with this photo. I'll call it global. Okay, so let's before and after. Okay, so play with that and follow along. I'm not going to save these. Okay, so this is another one. So let's bring out these last two images, this one and this one. So we're going to turn this one and add, do selection tool, and then add a background in this. Okay, this is just to practice the selection tool. Okay, so as always, if we're doing background and that kind of modification, we want to duplicate the layer. Command or Control J to duplicate. I'm gonna hide the bottom one. Okay, we're gonna go to the selection tool. In the tools area, we want object selection. Okay, so we want to make sure it's the object selection. Go over the object. Okay, if you notice, it's right on the rim. So we're gonna go to select and mask. What we want, so scroll all the way to the bottom. We want new layer with layer mask. Okay, that way we can easily go back and forth in editing. So we want it to not feather. I want it to smooth. Actually want it to feather, but shifted. So I want the selection to eat a bit into the image itself. Okay, so probably around there. I'm happy with everything else, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, so you're ready. It's already selected with a mask. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one on to look at it and off. Okay, so now I'm going to add a solid color in the back. So let's do that again. Go to adjustment, a solid color right here in the first one. Bring the solid color picker. This is a preference, so pick anything you like. You know, you can kind of get this picker, pick anywhere here for you to have select the color. Maybe I'm gonna go here, somewhere like that. So whatever you want, just select something. Could be a blue. Okay, oh, I like this color. So let's select a pink or violet somewhere there. Click OK. And then now you've selected. So if you zoom in this area here, okay, it looks okay. Everything looks okay. There's no empty layers and all that. But if you notice, this all has a slight yellow. So what I'm going to do, if you want to remove that yellow, we're going to go to hue and saturation. And then I'm going to pick this color here. And then reduce the color. Okay, so you can do it that way, but if you notice, everything else start reducing. Okay, so let's do 100%. So hue, and saturation, -100 yellow. Okay, but I'm going to click on the mask layer here, go to the brush, make sure the black area, so I'm gonna block that color, make sure the black layer area is set on top down here below, which you may not see. Bring the brush down, so you can bring the brush down by coming over here and change the brush size, or shortcut is the bracket key next to the P. The left side is to decrease and the right side is to increase. Okay, so let's decrease, and we want to bring just a tad of color here back in. Okay, let's make the brush side a little bit bigger and a little smaller down here. Okay, kind of like that. You can perfect it a little on your own time. All this yellow's gone as well. I want to bring that back. Okay, you can perfect that in your own time, but this is where I'll stop in this video. Okay, so the objective is here to understand how to select your object and then refine it in the mask tool area or mask panel. Another thing is how to use mask, blocking with brush, and adding on. So white is to reveal, black is to block, something you need to remember. Okay, so play with this a little bit more, refine it in your own time. So I'm going to go to the next image, so I'm not going to save. So this one, we're going to turn this one again into this, okay, with a few different tools. Okay, so let's Command or Control J to duplicate the layer. Go to Object and select. Make sure Object select. So we're just going to select this. Okay, so everything is selected if you looked at it. Okay, so I'm going to go up to the right corner here, select a mask on the option area. I'm going to create and refine. Okay, down here in the output, again, I want new layer with mask. And shift the edge down a little bit here and click OK. Okay, so everything is selected nicely. Okay, so next thing is we don't need this layer, it's just pull, drag it down and delete. We're gonna create a solid color maybe. So we're gonna pick one of the colors here, maybe like that, just to play with. I'm going to the gradient tool, go to the tool menu, and we're gonna get gradient tool. Click on that. We go to the dial, so you can play with all this different effect. I'm gonna click the dial for this video, radial, and then right here, go to the basic and click on this one. Okay, so then now we're gonna come back to this, making sure you select this area, the thumbnail, and then we're gonna do that. So notice I did it on the right side because I'm trying to follow the light pattern on this in this image. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward with this image here. Okay, so now we can delete that. I want you to play with color fill, and then I want you to play with gradient fill. Okay, so this one's pretty easy. Just selection tool with object and play with the gradient and the color. Okay, so that's all the 4 images. Download them all, follow along, and try to master the few things that are discussed in this video before we move on to the next section.